Hey everybody, Bucko7 here from the Booty family. We talk so much about gameplay, about the different characters and how to use them, and who we should enhance. And once we do enhance them, how do we make these guys the best? But one question that I think we don't ask enough and don't consider enough is why? Why are we bringing up the guys that we do? Why should we choose one guy over another? So what I'd like to do today is just focus a bit on your roster and constructing the best roster that's going to help you out, not just in day-to-day matches, but in the long term, to have all your bases covered when it comes to the different feuds, the different requirements that are needed from event to event. Let's take a look at my roster. I've got 8 4-star superstars, and I've brought them all up for a reason. So let's take a look. So I've got Chris Jericho, Acrobat, who was the character I got in the D9. He was my first. I've got Sting, Randy Orton, Technician, Seth Rollins, Trickster, Vader, Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, and Ronda Rousey. So those are my 8. I've constructed my roster this way for specific reasons. As you know, there are 6 different classes in the game. Strikers, powerhouses, acrobats, showboats, technicians, tricksters. So it's always good to try to have all of those covered when you're talking about your top guys, whether it's 3-star golds or whether we're into 4 stars now. You want to try and get at least one usable top guy in all of those classes. But there's also eras to consider. You know that Scopely throws era-specific events, tours, and sometimes even feuds requirements for those at us. So you also want to have a look when you're considering picking one guy over another. How am I for Legends, Attitude, New Gen, and Modern Era? Do I have all of those bases covered? And the other thing that's come into the game now is, of course, the women superstars. They're not going away. You have to start considering them as viable and necessary people to enhance. When there's a women's only feud, if you've just got a 3-star silver Natalia, you're not getting a whole lot of points. So you have to consider trying to get a good woman superstar and enhancing them, not just to 3-star gold, but you got to consider, I got to invest some tokens into getting one of these women to 4-star as well. So if you look at my roster, for Attitude Era, got Sting. Randy Orton qualifies for both Modern and Attitude for different requirements. The Modern Era is covered with Chris Jericho and Seth Rollins. The New Gen is covered by Vader. And the Legends, Randy Savage, Andre the Giant. And I've got Ronda Rousey at 4. So that's every era, every class covered at 4-star, as well as having a woman. And the other thing to consider, which isn't as prevalent anymore, but when you're talking about versus, and if they ever bring back the Invasion, God help us, is the Raw and SmackDown links, which give bonuses, an MP bonus for having those covered. So for SmackDown, I've got Randy Orton. For Raw, I've got Seth Rollins. So those are all things to consider, and not just looking at up and down the tier lists that are out there and seeing, okay, I got to make sure I have this guy. But if you enhance, Sting and Brock, next big thing, and Vince McMahon, great, 3 great guys. But you've got 3 Attitude Era strikers. So if they throw a feud at us that's New Gen and Legends, you can't use any of those guys. So the bottom line, I guess, is when you're putting together your roster, be smart with not only the who and the how you play them, but also why. Why am I doing this? Because as we've seen, tokens do not grow on trees. You gotta collect them, you gotta cherish them, and you gotta use them wisely. Because we've all got those mistakes that we've made. And you don't get those tokens back. Although that would be a great development in the game, some sort of garage sale, thrift store, refund, downgrading a guy to get some percentage of the tokens back that you spent on a mistake. Try to take that advice when you're putting together your rosters, and the smarter you play, the more fun you're going to have from feud to feud and event to event, because your bases will be covered. Thanks for watching, and smash those gems.